Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for allowing me to wave onto this subcommittee hearing today. Interestingly enough, my father, who was career Air Force enlisted, was part of taking offline a nuclear power plant in Fort Belvoir, Virginia, Sundance, Wyoming, and then at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. And even prior to being in Congress, I toured the Duane Arnold nuclear power plant in Palo, Iowa, which was a phenomenal facility, now offline. And even at that time, which was over a decade ago, was informed about the workforce challenges and issues for nuclear because we were not training individuals in nuclear engineering or the other workforce needed so that when we ramped up. And as we know, and as you all have said, and Commissioner Caputo, you mentioned in your testimony, and I agree, that affordable, reliable, clean, abundant energy is the lifeblood of our economy. And by all accounts, electricity demand, and this is not new, we have known for at least a decade that energy demand is going up, not only in the United States, but all across the world. It's going to continue to grow, and nuclear energy will play a key role in supplying our baseload energy generation moving forward. I also appreciate your comments about having the right processes would wonder, as I was director of the Department of Public Health and we handled nuclear as it comes through the state, introducing Lean and Six Sigma into our processes that may help in some of the efficiency you're talking about. Outside of workforce and staffing resources, what do you see as the biggest obstacle to your organizational readiness to license new nuclear infrastructure, including advanced reactor designs and fuel cycle facilities to handle advanced fuel designs for new reactor types? I think you mentioned that the efficiencies should increase after the first few licenses.
Well, like any organization, with practice, we should demonstrate a learning curve. I think the challenge for the NRC is we don't always. And some of that may be, I think, attributable to training in personnel, and certainly a sense of urgency on the part of leadership to recognize that subsequent reviews should be getting smoother and more efficient than the first time someone tries a new process. So some of that, I think, gets back to leadership. Some of it, I think, has to do with training. There was a lot of concern, it has been continuing concern, with the component of our workforce that's retirement eligible. At one point, it was more than half. Now it's down around a quarter. And with that, in managing that retirement wave, we've hired 600 people. So this is about 20% of the agency that's swapped out. And so we're facing, while we've been blessed and able to hire that many people, we do have, I think, a knowledge management challenge and a training challenge to make sure that we are hiring the right people for the workload that's facing the agency, and that they are trained and ready to execute the reviews that need to be executed. So it's a leadership focus, but it's also a training and knowledge management challenge.
Yeah. Well, certainly one could say that we are already behind. We're already a decade behind in bringing new energy online, and especially given the EPA's rules on taking power plants offline within 8 years, the time it takes to get a nuclear facility ramped up to online. I will just underscore your point that we hope that everybody in the agency, new hires, existing hires, understand the urgency of what we're dealing with to get energy, especially clean energy demand, to meet current demands. With licensing fees set to comprise a smaller percentage of your budget outlays in the coming fiscal year compared to fiscal year 2024, how does the Commission intend to prioritize licensing work among competing interests to fulfill the congressional directives in the ADVANCE Act? Commissioner Caputo.
This has been an ongoing challenge, I think, for the agency. We had quite a peak in licensing work post-Fukushima that has really waned over time, and yet we have looming on the horizon quite a large opportunity for work. So managing fees and budgeting appropriately has been quite a challenge. When we budget for licensing work that doesn't come in, it forces us to shift that budget authority into annual fee space, which drives up the annual fees on existing licensees. So it's a challenge for us to manage that. It's something that we've certainly struggled with. It tends to result in a fair amount of carryover, which we've seen. So we have adequate resources, but we are not necessarily placing our management focus on executing licensing work in a timely way. And I think that is something that we very much need to hone in on and improve, so that when this wave of licensing work hits, we have leadership and workforce trained and ready to act in a very efficient way.
Gentleman yields back. I want to thank